This product has made me over $115 million. I'm going to show you the proof right here on the screen. I have 5 different merchant accounts, and the reason I do that is it just protects the business. So you guys can see here, I'm just doing 2019. Then I go to the next one. All right, 5 million. We have the next one. All right, 25 million. And then the final one. So that right there adds up to over $115 million. So in this video, I'm going to show you the step-by-step path I took to get there so you can replicate it and make lots of money on your own. First thing we have up is we need an offer. Every human on earth does things to get more health, wealth, or relationships, and I'll prove it to you. So if you go to the gym, is it just because you enjoy the gym or because you get health benefits out of it? If you watch this YouTube video, for example, is it because you want to or because you're hoping to make more money from it? Every offer out there has to directly tie back to one of those 3 things. And the more clear it is how your offer does that, the better it will sell. So I chose health and fitness to start with because I grew up in sports. I played Division I football and I had been working out my whole life. Now, if you have no skills or you don't know what you can sell, you have 1 of 2 options. Number 1 is you can shoot me a DM on Instagram with the word course at tanner.chidester, and I'll send you a link to my free school community where I have trainings breaking down exactly how to do this completely free. Number 2 is if you don't trust me yet, or you don't like me, or you don't know me, go to udemy.com or allison.com and learn a skill for $100 or less. Some are even free, okay? In today's day and age, I personally think there's just zero excuse for not knowing how to make money. A little bit of effort, and you'll be surprised just how easy it is. Now, I'm not saying you'll be a millionaire, but you can most definitely make money. Now, as a fitness coach, it was pretty obvious my offer would help, but what wasn't clear was my USP, which is crucial to selling your offer well. If you don't know what a USP is, it's a unique selling proposition. When I sold fitness coaching, it wasn't unique at all because there are a million personal trainers out there. So I would have just blended in, and then what happens is people just choose the cheapest option because why not? If it's all the same, why would I want to spend more money? So to figure this out, you need to know what it is your customer wants. In fitness, for example, everybody wants to eat like shit and not work out and look amazing, right? So telling someone, hey, you'll have to work really hard, and by the way, it's $3,000 to work with me, is a tough proposition. The key thing to building a USP is it needs to follow one of these 2 phrases. It's either I help people do XYZ without doing ABC, or I help people do XYZ using ABC. So I'll give you a couple different examples. I help people eat whatever they want without sabotaging results. I'm going to get into how I made that ethically make sense, but that's an example of the USP. Let's say I'm doing business consulting. I can say, I help people book 70% more calls using convergent conversations. The goal, as well as, is if it creates curiosity, that's what gets people interested. Hey, what is that? What is it you do? They start asking questions. I have a client who actually gets students into Ivy League schools. So her USP is I help college students get into Ivy League schools with a 90% success rate using XYZ. And then once they came into my marketing ecosystem, we would clarify more what we meant by that and say, you can eat whatever you want without sabotaging results as long as you stay within certain scientific principles and guidelines. If you're in a caloric deficit, you will lose weight, end of story. Eating healthier foods will make you feel better, right? But hypothetically, if you eat like crap, but you're still in a deficit, you will lose weight. So this alone made me stand out in the marketplace as very unique and different. Most business owners in general think that having a good service or product is enough to be rich. And that's just completely false. It's perceived value, not actual value. So yes, having a good product helps, but you can have the world's worst product. But if people think it's good up front, they will buy it. Most business owners are great at the servicing part, but they have no clue how to market it and struggle a lot. So to come up with your USP, think about what your customer really wants and then give it to them by wording it in a different or unique way, like I showed you earlier. But to be honest, the USP means absolutely nothing if you don't price it properly. Now, a massive mistake I see over and over again is what I call the Shark Tank model, and it's a horrible model. So on Shark Tank, if you are familiar with that TV show, you see entrepreneur after entrepreneur in a terrible financial situation seeking money for their business because they don't have any. And the reason they don't have any is because they're trying to sell to the masses and they're not trying to sell to premium customers. So they're following a low price model instead of a high price model. Now, this is a massive mistake, and I know from personal experience because I started off selling a $47 product called the Rapid Muscle System. So when I started business, my entire strategy was to sell a $47 fitness program to the masses. The problem was I didn't have a lot of followers. I also didn't have a lot of money. I was living at home with my parents and I wasn't doing that good. Every time I'd make a sale, let's say I made 2 sales at $47, that was $100 basically, and I would get Subway, I could get gas for my car, maybe I could go on a couple dates, but it wouldn't really be enough to move myself forward. And I genuinely thought the way you got rich was by becoming social media famous and having a link to your services in your bio. And boy, was I wrong. Not only is it insanely hard to get famous on social media, less than 13% of all people on social media right now have over 100,000 followers. But just having a link in your bio does very little. I know huge influencers, literally with millions and millions of followers, and they don't even make a fraction of what I make because they don't understand marketing and sales. A link in your bio simply is not good enough. But even if you did have a big following and you managed to get a couple of sales from a simple link in your bio, you also don't have a lot of money. I know for myself, I was living at home with my parents, and every time I made a sale for $47, it did absolutely nothing to change my life. It was a little bit of lunch or gas money, but it wasn't life-changing money. Because of that, I was never able to use the funds to really grow my business. And so I stayed stuck for over 2 years until I fixed my pricing. So here's what I did. I took my one-off $47 program and added in coaching into it and raised my prices to $3,200 for 4 months. And I started reaching out to all my followers one by one. And you know what happened next? I made $10,000 in a week. And that was life-changing money at the time because I was only making $3,000 a month as a server and a door-to-door salesman. So this money allowed me, and it will allow you to reinvest back into the marketing of the business and run ads. And if you don't have a big following, ads is really the only way you can get rich fast. The higher your prices are, the more money you will make, and then you can put that back into ads so you always have leads on demand. Now, there's only 3 ways to get leads, and the first is called warm traffic. So this is anyone who has engaged with your social media. So likes, comments, followers, everyone who engages at all. Now, when I started this business, I didn't have a lot of followers, but I had gotten some from my professional modeling. So let's just say I had 10,000 or so. Once I had my proper pricing down, I just started reaching out to followers and asking them what their fitness goals were. So I would say something as simple as, hey, John, thanks for following me. What are your fitness goals? Oh, I want to lose 20 pounds. Oh, dude, that's awesome. Like, what are you struggling with right now? Oh, I just don't really know what to do. Okay, cool. What have you tried before? Oh, I've tried, keto diet. I've tried Weight Watchers. I've tried this. Okay, and how did those go? Not good? No, it didn't really work. Okay, have you ever had a coach before? Yeah, I worked with a few coaches, but it didn't really go well. Oh, what went wrong about it? Oh, this and that. Well, hey, I'm sorry to hear that. I don't know if you care or not, but I do this fitness stuff all day long. So if you're down to get on a call, I think there's some things I could point out to you that would be helpful and get you some results. Would that be worth your time? And then from there, I would actually go ahead and book the call. And these were the numbers I would look for. So 100 messages, so about 20 an hour. 30% respond. So 30 people have 100 respond. You book 5 to 6 sales calls. You close 1 to 2. Okay, so that's a warm lead. Now, maybe you don't have warm leads or you only have a few hundred followers and you run out of them very quickly. So phase 2 is going after cold leads. And again, guys, this is just if you're brand new, you have no following, you have no money, as bad as it gets. So cold leads are complete strangers. So when I had gone through my entire followers list, I started to reach out via IG hashtags. You can also do Facebook groups, but they just get hit up a lot more. So let me show you both methods really quick. Let's say you're a fitness coach, all right, and you are doing cold DMs. The goal is look for hashtags that have the type of people you're looking for. So you go to Fit Mom, Fit Dad, Fit Spo, anything like that, and you start looking for individuals who they want to get on the path of fitness, but maybe they're not in the best shape. So let's say this person here, this person was overweight and he's in pretty good shape now. So I might say, hey dude, love your fitness transformation, super amazing. What's the next goal you're trying to work towards? Because he's in great shape, but could he go further? Sure, right? And this would be a type of person you'd reach out to. Now, if you don't want to do Instagram, you could go into Facebook. Facebook's a little easier to find people, but it's a lot more crowded. What's cool with hashtags on Instagram is if there's a 30 million posts under a hashtag, the chance that someone else has reached out to that person is 0. And part of the reason that you're having a hard time winning as, let's say, a trainer or a consultant or whatever you're selling is because there's a lot of people sending the same message to that person. Let's say I type in fitness and different groups will come up. So fitness enthusiasts, fitness community, fitness bodies. What you're going to want to do is in this group, for example, let's say I'm in there. You look at the members, you would want to scroll down like I'm doing right now and look for people who are maybe not in the best shape who I can reach out to. And also they're in first world countries. So, if you're in America or you sell in USD or, even if you're in Canada, God forbid, and I'm just kidding guys, and you sell in Canadian dollars, then what you want to do is reach out to people who can actually afford the service. They look like they want the service and start there. This is the lowest level form of outreach, but you have to do it if you don't have a lot of money and you don't have a lot of followers. Okay. Now, the goal needs to be 1 new message every 3 minutes max. You're trying to send 20 messages per hour. So any slower than that, and you're moving way too slow. Because these people don't know you, right? Because this is cold DMs, the response rate is a lot lower. So instead of 30%, it's around 10%. You're hoping to book 3 calls, maybe you close 1. You might even have to do more messaging and book more calls because usually 10% of your book calls should close, right? Because you have cancels, no shows. Some people show up and they close. And all of this is for the reason to stack cash so we can then move into paid ads, right? Just remember, unless you're famous or unless you're going to go Mr. Beast route, you're going to be really patient and really build up your following. The fastest way to accrue wealth is to figure out paid marketing and paid advertising. There's 3 ways to run paid ads: boosted posts, DM ads, or straight to page ads. So I'm going to show you on the screen how you do that and show you 3 different examples. So let's go through boosted posts first. Boosted posts are the easiest, okay? And this is where most people should start. So if I'm doing a boosted post, just to walk you guys through it, let's say I was gonna boost this. You go here, you click boost reel. You're gonna have visit your profile, super simple. You're then gonna pick your audience. So you can do automatic targeting. If you like your audience and you have a good audience in your opinion, do automatic targeting. If you don't, then you can come down here and you can create your own. Then you're gonna wanna choose how much budget per day. So if you're getting, a follower for every $2 and you want 50 followers per day, you got to spend about $100. If you want 100 followers a day, spend $200. If you want 300 followers a day, spend, more money. That it has to add up to where your spend is at least going to get a follower for $2 is what I would go off of. It could cost more. These are the numbers you're shooting for, guys. So this is how you do a boosted post. And then the goal is everyone who likes, comments, follows you, right? You can see your notifications tab, people who follow, like, or comment on your stuff. On your cell phone, you can definitely see this. You then reach out to those individuals and then you just go straight to it. Hey, thanks for the follow. Like, what are your goals around whatever you're selling? The best types of posts to boost typically is a very direct post. Direct means, hey, I'm looking for 5 people who want to lose 20 pounds by Christmas. Comment fitness down below and I'll reach out to you. Or, hey, I'm looking for 5 people who want to grow their business. Comment down below and I'll reach out to you. That's a very direct post. Now, the downside of direct is usually cost more money. You can get better costs on an indirect post, but indirect posts usually don't do as well. So this is an example of an indirect post. Okay, I made over 150 million sales, told a little bit about my story, had really good costs on this. I'll actually show you the insights. So I spent about $3,000 on this and I had 1,800 followers. And I think the profile visits were like 20 cents and that's what you're shooting for. So just so you guys know, with boosted posts, you want 10 to 20 cent profile views. $1 to $2 per follower. So let's say you spent $1,000, you had 500 followers, right? $2 a pop, and 30% of those people reply. So 150 people reply. You book 10% into sales calls. So that's 15 calls. You close 3. If you're selling a $2,000 package, you made $5,000 of profit. That's how the numbers should look. But for the hard part is if you're doing an indirect post, people might cheer for you or they might be happy for you, but they're not actually super interested in buying. So what I usually tell people to start with is a very direct post. And if the cost is too high, you can go more indirect, but direct is usually a lot better. I actually see this method work the best for B2C offers. So fitness, helping people get green cards, helping people get a better career, stuff that is not revolved around business. Okay. And the reason for that is usually it's just a broader offer. And so this seems to work better for that. The next step up from that is DM ads. Now, why would you want to do boosted posts instead of DM ads? Boosted post benefit is it's cheaper. Okay, so it's cheaper to pay Instagram or Facebook for someone to view your profile, but the downside is you have to do all the outreach. If you do a DM ad, people come straight to you, which is better, right? So it saves time, but the downside is it costs more money. Okay, so that's how ads works. That's how really anything works. It's either you're paying with more time or you're paying with more money. If you have more time, start with boosted posts. Right? And if you're a beginner, I would start with boosted posts. If you have more money than time, then you could go to DM ads or straight to pay. So I'll take you guys through that process, okay? So I go over to Ads Manager, right? I have a couple different ads managers. We'll see which one this is in. This ads manager right here, I've spent, $30 million on ads. This is one of them. This one has 2 million in it, okay? So you guys can see I actually know what I'm doing. So if you were to start a DM ad, what I would do is I'd start from the campaign level, set up engagement like this, and then you choose your audience. Okay, so in terms of what you call it, you can just say DM ads campaign. It doesn't really matter what the campaign is. That's just the name you have for it. You can call it whatever you want. The next thing is then choosing who we're targeting. So ultimately we want to choose audiences that we think will have our ideal avatar. So if I'm selling, again, fitness, you're going to want to target fitness type audiences. If you're selling business, you're going to target business type audiences. What I would recommend at this point in time, so it's 2025 at the time of this video, is IG seems to work a lot better than Facebook at this point in terms of quality. I don't know why. I've just ran millions and millions of dollars. You'll have to take my word for it. It just seems to work better at this point. So I can come down here in my budget that when you're starting ads, usually what I would start with is the lowest amount of money you have to spend to get a lead. So if I was brand new to ads and I had a B2B offer, I would probably start at $20 per day. And the reason for that is if I get a lead, I'd leave it on. If I don't get a lead, I'd turn it off and change the audience. Some people will, argue against that who've ran a lot of Facebook ads, but it's usually unfounded. It's just theory. There's no proof actually behind, letting something run for 3 days. If it doesn't get a lead very quickly and you have a low budget, it doesn't make a lot of sense to leave it on. This is gambling, so to speak, right? It's calculated gambling, so you got to be really smart about how much you spend. So let's say I have a $20 budget, and then I choose, advantage placements, and I go here and I say, hey, I want manual, and I only want to go to Instagram, and on Instagram, it's going to go to these places. I can even click if I wanted to go somewhere else, but let's say I just wanted to go on Instagram, okay? I want it in the United States, and I can also choose the audience and the age range. So here, let's say I'm selling fitness. And guys, the reason I bring up fitness a lot is not because that's the only thing I sell or those are the only people I work with. It's just it's easy for everyone to understand, right? So usually people who want help in fitness are a little bit older. If you're in your 20s, even if someone's really out of shape in their 20s, they usually have no money and they usually don't care about their fitness as much. So let's say hypothetically I'm doing that, I probably would want to target people 35, maybe to 50, right? Who are still working, still making money, a little bit older, but they're more worried about their health. And then I can choose the type of target. So if I was doing fitness, I could type in fitness and see what pops up. So we have physical fitness, we have anytime fitness, LA fitness. So for this one, I'd say I'll pick physical fitness, okay? That's a pretty big audience. 22 million. Okay, so let's say I want people who are into fitness, but they also run a business because they might have more money. So in this case, let's say I choose Gary Vaynerchuk. Okay, that's a better size audience. So usually you want the audience size 1 to 2 million. If it's bigger than that, it's not that it's quote unquote bad. It's just usually it's too broad. So there will be way too many people in that group that don't actually want what you're selling. And so it's going to drive the costs up on the ads. Okay. So that is the audience. And then here you're going to actually create an ad. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull in old creative that we've already ran for ads. We'll just put in the media. Okay. So let's say we're using this picture, skip and continue. And then we would put in this. So, it's like, I help people, eat whatever they want without sabotaging results. Click below if you want more info. Okay. Obviously there's a ton of typos, guys. Don't judge me on that. And then you would come down here and you would create your green. Now, usually what I do on these types of greens is I just have one thing there and I say, click this for the training. So when they click on your ad, they're going to see this right here. So what I'd say is please click below for the training. Okay. And then they say, click this, the training on losing, 20 pounds, whatever it is you're selling. Okay. And then this automated response, I'd say, here is the training. And let's say it's eliteCEOs.com and you put the link. So when they click send, that will fire. And so what will happen is now they can go to your funnel if you have one, right? Or you can now have a messaging conversation with them. And so what this allows you to do is if you're not very good at marketing yet and you're better at conversation, you're better at sales, this is a great type of ad to run. And you can have a conversation with every single person who clicks on your ads, right? That's one way to do it. The other way to do it is if you don't have the time or let's say you're better at marketing, then you want to do straight to page. So the straight to page, the only difference with that is exactly how it sounds. A DM ad is they click on the ad and then they open up a link inside their DM and then you can have a conversation with them. A straight to page means when they click on the link, they go to a landing page. So a landing page is a website. And then they're not actually having a conversation with you. They're trying to take action on that page. So it could be a video, it could be a PDF, it could be whatever you're giving away. The upside of that is it's a lot easier to scale because you can spend a lot more volume and it doesn't really create a lot more work. The downside is it has to be a lot more convincing because with automation and marketing and all the other stuff in the industry right now, a lot of people are less likely to trust you. Okay. So if I come here and I'm going to do a straight to page campaign for you guys, let's start this thing from scratch. What I would usually choose is sales. The reason you want to choose that is there's a lot of options you can choose, but usually Facebook is really good at optimizing for what you're optimizing for. So what you choose. So in this case, I really want to focus on sales. Okay. For engagement, I know earlier we just did that for the DM ads. All I know is we've ran a lot of them and it gives us a little bit of better options for engagement, but majority of the time you want to choose sales. Okay. Because that's going to optimize for what you're trying to do. So with the sales objective, I'm going to skip and go straight to the ad because the campaign setup and the targeting setup is the same. But then here, what you're going to want to do instead is we're going to want to run to a page. Let's go back to here. Okay, so we want a website. That's the only part I missed. And then you go back here and we're going to want to run this to a page. So here I could say, hey, let's go to eliteceos.com. Okay. Or whatever link I want. And then when people click on this ad, that's where it's gonna go. That's how you can run ads at a very high level. You can start with boosted, then you can do DM, or you can do straight to page. So you just have to decide where you're at in the process. If you're not sure, boosted post is probably the best place for you to start. The only part I didn't show you guys in this video is the actual setup of the funnels. So if you want templates for funnels, or you want to have someone help you set up that software, DM me on tanner.chidester elite 360, and we'll send you a 7-day trial to our software that has the templates and everything in there that you need to actually set up your funnel. So we'll give you a ready to go funnel, and all you have to do is edit the pictures, edit the words, and it's ready to go. And I want to share with you guys my sales process. So I'm going to go ahead and open this document. You guys can see it on the screen. There's essentially 7 steps, plus there's objection handling. So the first step on a sales call is the intro or the pre-frame. So all we're trying to do right here is we'll say, hey, the point of the call is to understand what your goal is, what you're struggling with, what you've tried. At the end of the call, if you feel it's a fit, let's go ahead and move forward. If it's not, that's fine too. My goal is just to honestly help you. So I just want to have an honest discussion and then help you make the decision for you. Okay. That's all sales is, guys. We're not trying to force people to do stuff. We're just trying to help them find the best option. If you get more unattached from the situation, the irony is you're going to close more sales. The second part of this call is in the discovery. Now, you need to think about discovery. A lot of people get way too caught up in this, and they think, I have to ask certain questions. I have to say this and I have to say that. And that is not what the discovery is about. The whole point of a discovery is you're actually asking questions to understand the situation. So pretend you were giving advice for free. You couldn't make any money from it. And someone said, hey, I have cancer, for example. And you were saying, what do you want to do with it? Do you want to fight it? Do you not want to fight it? Have you gone to a doctor yet? If so, what do the doctors say? How many opinions have you gotten? You're going to ask a lot of questions, right? So the same thing works in sales when you ask questions around what it is they want. So usually I'll say, what's your goal? What are you struggling with? What have you tried? Have you ever had a coach? If I'm selling business consulting, I'll say, have you ever ran ads? Have you ever done sales? Do you have a support system with a spouse, etc.? Right? Like all that stuff is super important to understand their actual situation. I'm not asking stuff just to ask. I want to actually understand their situation. Once I have an understanding of their situation, I can then offer advice. That's going to be in the next part of the call. 2 questions you really want to answer. I really don't care what you ask, except 2 questions. And those are highlighted in yellow on the screen. Why now? Why today? Why not in a year? Like, why does it even matter? You got to ask that question because a lot of times at the end of the call, people will be interested, but not interested enough to make a decision. So you have to ask them straight up, hey, is this important enough to make a decision today? If it's a fit, is there any reason you wouldn't move forward? That's what I'll say. And if they say yes, then at the end of the call, if they try not to buy, I am able to say, well, you said this is a fit, you move forward. I'm assuming it's not a fit. Or if it is a fit, what's the hesitation? Okay. The second thing is then, how much money have you lost out on to not taking action? Or how much weight could you have lost in the last 6 months? Oh, I could have lost, 60 pounds. Okay. So you would already be at your goal if you had just taken action 6 months ago, right? And the reason we're doing that is we're trying to get them to say, I'll take action today and then also make it hurt. So the opportunity cost, I'll put that with people, say, look, the average client I work with privately, one-to-one, will add $600,000 per year. That's a real average for the clients who work with me privately. So because you've taken 6 months to make this decision, you've already lost $300,000 minimum, right? And I get them to actually understand and agree to a number because then it actually makes it painful versus just saying, oh yeah, I didn't spend the money, so it doesn't really affect me. It does. It definitely affects your business, right? So this is the discovery part. There's different questions you can ask, but the biggest ones I think are these ones in yellow. Then I go to what I call the summary. So I just say, cool. So from here, it sounds like your biggest thing is this. If we can figure out how to fix that 100%, you're in. Yeah, cool. And I get a confirmation. Great. Then we move into what I call the 3 pillars. Now, this is probably a whole nother trainer video just on its own, but the 3 pillars should be the 3 biggest reasons why someone should work with you. Okay. So if someone is asking me, Tanner, why should I work with you in your company? Obviously, one of the reasons is I've done 115 million in sales. Most of the other competitors have not. I think that's a pretty good reason. Number 2 is what, around offers, right? Like how we actually help you create the offer, which is a big issue for most people. And then number 2 is lead generation. The 2 biggest things that people want when they're trying to get help with consulting is they want help with their offer and they want help with leads and sales. That's it. So the 2 other reasons are around those things. The 3rd reason is around my authority in the space. Okay. So we go through that and we use here's what they do, here's what we do, Frank. Meaning, if you guys are looking on the screen, this is an example I could say. So pillar number 1 is what we call offer creation. Now, what most people do is they tell you to sell a low price product, right? They say it's easier. They say it's safer. You can get a lot of customers that way. The issue with that is unless you have a big social media following like Kim Kardashian, you're never going to get enough eyeballs to sell enough. So what we do is we help you build out a package that ensures you're not a commodity. Commodity means shampoo, food, water. And what we want to do is we want to make you the highest price in the marketplace because it's easier to scale, you have fewer clients, and you have more profit for the business. The biggest issue I've seen in sales calls, and make sure you're paying attention to this part, this is really important, is people will just tell someone why they're great, but they don't tell them why the competition is bad. And a lot of people, you have to understand, they're unknowledgeable. They're new to the space. They don't understand that. So I say, here's what most people teach you. You're not talking bad about the competition. You're just saying, here's what most people do, and here's what I do, and this is why I'm a better option. That actually builds more trust. So if I were to go into a perfume store and I was getting perfume for my girlfriend, and everyone says, oh, this is the best perfume, this is the best perfume, this is the best perfume, it gets me actually confused. But if someone said, hey, this is the worst perfume, here's why, this is the best perfume, here's why, that actually makes it more convincing. Okay? So that's what the point of the 3 pillars is. If you do a good job here, the person will be sold. Absolutely will be sold. Okay? This is super crucial. And then the final part is after the 3 pillars is then we do a brief overview of the program. Now, nobody cares what's in the program. I just want to be very clear. Nobody gives a shit what's in the program. So if I could make you a millionaire, you don't care what it would take. I'd be like, drink 3 gallons of water a day, lick the floor with your tongue, go to the gym and lift 8 weights for 6 hours. You wouldn't care if you actually thought it was real. Nobody cares. Like, people just want the result. So this part, the only reason I bring it up is that if they don't understand at least some of the deliverables, I feel like you get a lot more objections than is necessary. So I'll just say, hey, when you come in, you get support from account manager. We have daily office hours. We have a Facebook group. We have an A to Z portal. We have scripts, funnels, content. Like, we have some done for you stuff, etc. Does that all make sense? Very short. Then before I drop the price, I want to create certainty. The easiest way to ask if they're certain, I say, now that you've heard everything, how do you feel about it? What do you think? If they go, oh, it sounds pretty good, they don't want to buy your stuff. If they say, I mean, it sounds pretty good, they don't want to buy your stuff. If they, oh, it sounds amazing, they want to buy your stuff. Like, we're trying to gauge where they're at. If they're not certain, we have to, before we drop the price, we have to try to raise their certainty. So if they say, oh, you know, it sounds pretty good, I go, oh, you don't sound that excited. Like, what part did you not like? I need to fight that objection right then. As soon as you drop the price, you've taken the power from yourself and you've transferred it to the prospective client. We don't want that to happen. So I create certainty and then I close. The easiest way to close is just tell them the price. Hey, it's 16 grand for 4 months. It's 10 grand for 3 months. It's 5K for 2 months. Like, just tell them. Don't try to do this whole buildup. I hate when sales reps will say, oh, and you get this and this and this and this and this, and the price is, like, don't do all this buildup. Okay? It seems disingenuous. Then from there, you're going to get 4 objections. Well, they'll either sign up, hopefully that's what happens, or you'll get 4 objections. You'll either get a price objection, you'll get a spouse objection, you'll get a time objection, or you'll get a belief objection, right? So let's go through all of them. The most common is price. So if I go here and I say, so this is the process to handle a price objection, okay? So I say, the price of the program is 10K for 3 months. Now, before we go any further, it's important that if you're selling it or you have a sales team, right, that you tell them what's the lowest price that they can sell it at. So people will say, oh, they can't sell it at anything else. It's 10K. Okay, but you get people who can't afford that. Do you let them in for less? Most people say yes. Like, great, what's that number? Let's say in this case, it's 2 grand. So meaning if they have 2 grand or more, they can sell it, right? And they customize the deal to like fit their criteria. If they have less than 2K, they do not sell it. All right, so let's follow that for this. So let's say price of the program is 10K, but they have to have at least 2K to buy, okay? So in this case, I'll say, so the price of the program is 10K for 3 months. And they're like, oh, it's too expensive. So they object. And I say, got it, no problem. I agree. Then I isolate the objection. I say, got it. Is there anything besides the price that would stop you from moving forward today? Or is it just the price? It's just the price. Okay, cool. So that's the first tie down. That's 1 tie down. We want 2. We want a double tie down. So I go, got it. So just to confirm, John, say John's the guy I'm talking to. If we figure out the price, you're in. Yeah. It's double tie down. Cool. We got confirmation twice. So then I go, got it, John. So what I need to know from you is, what's your cash on hand situation? Check-in, savings, credit cards, income. What do you spend? Like, what's your actual cash situation? If they won't tell you, I will not move the call forward until they do. Oh, I don't really know. Oh, it's cool. I'll wait. Like, pull up your phone. Everybody knows how much they make. If they tell you that, they're full of shit. I promise you. They know how much money is coming in their bank account. People check that stuff all the time. So I'll ask them, what's your cash on hand situation like? So if they say anything above 2K, it's a green light, I'm going to sell it. If they say below 2K, the call's basically over. So, you know, if they say, I have $1,000. I go, got it. So John, we usually can't go that cheap. You know, I want to help you. Is there any other way you can come up with funds? That's all you literally have. Like, how are you surviving? Like, are you about to be evicted from your place? I'll actually ask. I'll be genuinely curious. If it comes to the point, hey, I can't pay anything, then it's like, hey, we can't go that low. Like, I wish you the best. I'm going to send you some free resources. When your financial situation changes, reach back out to us. Boom. If they say anything above 2K, so let's say John says 5K. Here's how you handle it. What we're hoping for is 10. But let's say that's all he actually has. A lot of sales trainers will say, oh yeah, like if it's a Lamborghini, they'll figure it out. This isn't a Lamborghini. So I hate when they use examples that make just to try to make a point, but it has nothing to do with the situation. This is not a Lamborghini we're selling. This is probably a service, a product, consulting. Like people are not going to just, usually loan out their house unless they're really at rock bottom, like I was. So let's say John goes, why $5,000? So I go, okay, so typically the price of the program is 10K. That's the example we used here. So I don't think that's a realistic option for you to do, John. So I'm down to work something out for you that's customized. But before I do, I just want to make sure that you can move forward today. Why do I say that? Because if I don't say that, as soon as I drop the price, John goes, cool, that sounds great. Let me think about it. No. Like, it's not fair that we lower the price and then he thinks about it. We can lower the price, but he has to move forward. Otherwise, come back and pay full price. That's fair. Like, all sales is making a fair deal. So John will go, well, what do I have to pay? And I'll say, John, don't worry about it. I'll make sure that's a fair deal, but I want to make sure if you're actually able to do it, it makes sense financially that you move forward right now, right? Because I don't want to give you a discount and then you tell me you can't move forward. Is that fair? Yeah, that's fair. Okay, cool. So I don't think you should spend all of it, but I do think you should do something. So I'll tell you what, if you can put the 5K down, I know that's in your savings, right? So that's what you had to allocate for this. You put the 5K down, you come in, you work hard, you don't tell any other clients you got a discount because some clients have paid more, right? I'll go ahead and call today and we'll let you in and then you won't have any other payments. Does that sound fair enough? So what you're doing is the price is still 10K. You're not just like, it's not a cheaper price. It's just, you have to make the decision as the owner or the sales rep. If you're a sales rep on a team, are you going to get some money or are you going to get no money? There's no right or wrong answer. I just personally think that's stupid. I think it's dumb to run a business where you just turn everyone away who can't afford your price point, especially if it's a high price point. What that's allowing you to do is to maximize the cash that you collect, but you're also able to help people. So if he comes in at 5K and I have 5K for ads, maybe I get 2 10K clients with $5,000 more of ads, right? So not every client is going to be the quote unquote best client from a price perspective, but in terms of the health of the business, that is better. Okay. That's how you handle a price objection. If you guys have questions, comment down below or you can DM me on Instagram. The next one is partner or spouse. This comes up maybe 20% of the time. So in this case, I would say, the price of the program is 10K, John. And he goes, well, what if they say no? And I'd say, okay, well, like John goes, oh, I would probably do it anyways. I'm like, great, let's get started. That happens very rarely, right? But it's just good to ask because some people are like, well, I would do it anyways. It's like, okay, then what are we waiting for? The second thing I would move to is I go, well, I wouldn't do it. So I say, John, the price of the program is 10K. I got to ask my wife. Well, what are you going to do? She says no. Well, I wouldn't do it. Okay. Then we go to B. What would her biggest objection be? Usually what they say, this happens a majority of the time, 80%. He goes, well, she'd say price. So guess what you do? You just go back up here and you go, oh, got it, John. So it's not that you need to talk to your wife. You just know your wife really well, obviously. And you know she'll have a price issue. So we got to figure out the price. Yeah. Yeah. Then you figure out the price, you close the deal. Simple. That's usually what happens. Let's say I figure that out, but John's like, oh, I mean, it sounds good, Tanner, but I still have to talk to her. Very rarely that'll happen. But let's say he says it the third time. So then I go to what's called past agreement. So I go, does your spouse know you're struggling? Does she love you or your business partner, right? Does she know that like this is something you want to fix? Okay, if the roles reverse, will you support her? Okay, so the thing is, if you ask them and they say no and don't do it, and 2 years later you're still out of shape or you're poor or whatever it is, you're going to resent them, right? And so the thing is, you're going to tell them you're doing it for you, and you're not doing it for them, and all you're asking for is their support, not their permission, right? Because this is your goal and you're going to own it. That sometimes will get them over the hump. If they still say no, then I move into what I call delayed payment. Here's the best way to handle it. So I go, okay, got it, John. Like, I don't want to push you to do something you don't want to do. Are you 51% yes or 51% no? They always say 51% yes. I go, oh, okay, cool. So pretty much if you wake up tomorrow at this time and you feel the way you feel now, you're going to do it. Yeah, 100%. Okay, I'm cool. So let's do this. I'm going to ask you to go ahead and put down a deposit. And if you go back to your wife or your business partner and they say they don't want you to do it and they don't want to support you and they don't want you to make more money, like they say all that, whatever whatever it is you're selling, I'll just refund you and rip up the agreement. Does that sound fair enough? So we ask them to put down a deposit, right? I'm going to ask you to go ahead and put down a deposit. And then if you go to your wife and she says all this stuff, I'll just refund you. That's a last ditch effort. And if you do that, you're going to get maximum results because you're being aggressive, but you're also doing what I call push pull. You're like, hey, look, you got to do what you want, but every time you say but, you're able to be a little bit more aggressive. So it's pull and then you can push. Okay. So that's spouse. Time is the next one. There's a lot of way to handle the time objection, but I say, hey, John, the price of the program is 10K. He's like, oh, I just need to think about it. It's usually BS. Okay. most sales trainers will tell you to say, well, what is it you need to think about? What I like to do is I say, okay, well, John, you know what deciding means? He goes, I don't know what it means. Like, cool. So in Latin, it means a cutoff. So we cut off the future of your dreams or your passive inaction, because indecision is still a decision, right? There's really 3 things I have to ask you. If I ask you these 3 things, you'll know what to do. And he's like, okay. I go, do you think you're more or less likely to hit your goal working with us? They always say more likely. Like, no one's going to say less likely. It makes no sense. Do you believe we're going to deliver what we promise? Yeah. Okay, cool. Do you have access to funds or know someone who does? Yeah, I do. Okay, great. So based off that, you actually have all the information you need to make a decision and move forward. Those are the only 3 things you need to know. So what do you say we go ahead and move forward? Because as soon as you get off this call, you're not going to get any new information. So your decision won't change. Does that sound fair enough? If they still say no, you can go into delayed payment. I already went over delayed payment prior. Okay. This comes up very rarely. Usually it's a price or a spouse. I very rarely get anything else. Now, the last objection it could be is belief. All right. So belief is when they go, it sounds good. I just don't know. So John, the price of the program is 10K. Sounds good, Tanner. I don't know, man. Everything sounds good. It's like, John, what is the worst thing that can happen? That's what I'll ask them. And they'll say, well, it doesn't work. I'm like, all right, cool. So let's walk through those 3 options. You sign up and get results. Life's great. Okay. You do it and it doesn't work and you get your money back, right? So usually in consulting, have a performance guarantee. Performance guarantee means they have to do certain criteria to get the money back. You can't just have a money back guarantee unless it's software, a product, something like that, right? This is different if it's a service, right? Depending on what you sell. And then I say the third option is you do nothing and stay stuck. So the first 2 options are risk-free. The third option is the only one that's going to keep you stuck. So why don't we go ahead and make the decision that's going to get you towards your goal? Right now, you don't have to do a guarantee or money back or anything. So if you don't want to do that, you just say you sign up to get results and life's great. And then you say number 2, you do nothing and stay stuck. You're basically trying to get them to see that there's not any risk, right? So the key of sales is whatever they're actually worried about, you take that risk away. So if someone's worried about the price, instead of trying to build more value for 30 minutes, which is why a lot of sales trainers say, I try to find out what cash they have and then I make a deal around the cash they have. If they have a spouse issue, then I want to try to make them feel comfortable, like, hey, your spouse knows about this, your spouse agrees with this, etc. And if I can't, I do a deposit. If it's a time issue, I try to get rid of the time issue. If it's a belief issue, I figure out, hey, the reason they're scared is that they don't know if it's going to work. So every single objection people have, as long as you can understand where the objection is coming from, it's actually really easy to beat. Those are the 4 main objections, guys. If you can figure out how to beat those, you're going to make a lot of money. This is not door-to-door sales. I did door-to-door sales, online sales or telesales or anything like that, where it's qualified prospects. It's way easier to close because they only have a couple of objections they can use. When you're doing door-to-door sales, they're not expecting you, they're busy, they have errands, there's a lot of stuff they can throw at you, okay? So that's how to handle a perfect sales call. The last thing is getting fulfillment. So in short, the best fulfillment is where the client has to consume as little material as possible to get a result. Okay. They have rapid communication and then Zoom calls as needed. A lot of people just want to feel, hey, I have as much support as humanly possible. So I'm actually going to show you one of my clients for an example of what they get when they're inside our program. Here's coaching. He's one of my private one-on-one clients. I work with him. Then we have our tech support, which is right here. We have our ad support because we help run his stuff. And then we have our closer support. So we get setters and closers for our clients. We split it up like this so he can have all the conversations, but they're all in different places. Over here, we then have all his docs and files, so it's all in one place. And then finally, we have our school community, which is all our curriculum. So this is our paid university, which is only one-to-one clients. And we have all our curriculum in here that he can use. Plus, we have our one-to-one call. So we're giving a very high level of support. The biggest thing is at the end of the day, when people hire you, they want a result. You can be their friend, you can be nice, you can do all that, but end of the day, the thing that's gonna make the biggest difference is people just want what they paid for. They want the freaking result. Right? If you're nice and you do all that stuff, but they don't get the result, it's just not going to go probably the best way that you're hoping for, because end of the day, that's what people want. Once I hit $1 million in revenue in the first 12 months and I started getting recognition and awards from ClickFunnels, people all over started asking me for help. So all I did was take the same digital product that I'd sold my fitness coaching to and let people see behind the curtains all the way to 115 million. People will say, oh, but that's another digital product, Tanner, but it's not. It's the same exact product, but now it's being sold to a different consumer. That's it. So if you need help, just shoot me a DM on IG at tanner.chidester. We can have a genuine conversation about where you're at and how I can help. But now that you have the process to making your first dollars online, watch this video to see the 7 best digital products out there that you can sell.